Vision Zero is a very important topic for those of us in consulting at Dräger. Within the scope of our consulting services, we always focus on a central question or solution, that of human protection. In every project, with every customer, regardless of the company or institution. Because that is the most important aspect for every company for which we consult. We always pursue exactly this consulting approach, gearing all of our services to protecting people, protecting their health, and ultimately, of course, making a contribution to the client's Vision Zero. The topic of Vision Zero is becoming increasingly prominent. The term itself is becoming more and more familiar, and industries, sectors and companies that have not previously had to think about occupational health and safety from a regulatory point of view are actively starting to approach us about it. Of course, this development makes us very happy in our daily work because it is extremely important to us internally at Dräger. We notice it at Dräger, we notice it with our customers, and ultimately we notice this integration. Dräger has been active in this field for a very long time with products, services and other solutions that support our customers. Now we can offer additional support in response to active customer demand, which is, of course, an exceptionally positive development. I think we would all like to have ready-made safety concepts. If the world were that simple, I don't think any of us, even at Dräger, would be dealing with these issues so intensively and for so long. Here, of course, we have a question of definition. What is a safety concept? There are many different disciplines that deal with the topic of safety, from fire protection to occupational health and safety, which is also extremely important for Vision Zero, no matter from which perspective you look at this topic. In the end, every concept already has certain groundwork to fall back on, be it through regulations or best practices. In framework concepts, there are always framework conditions, guidelines. They are incredibly helpful, and that means that for a safety concept, you already have certain guardrails that show you what elements need to be taken into account. What are the first tips? How can I implement something like this in my company, introduce it, bring it to life? But ready-made, i.e. really effective? Unfortunately, there is no such thing. The ideal implementation. For us, that is the ideal prerequisite, the one we would most like to have with the customer. That is, a customer who is sensitized and realizes that he must or would like to do more to ensure the safety of his employees and third parties who are in his company or institution. That is, of course, the most important basic prerequisite. There is the initial realization, and then there is the will to improve circumstances, and within the framework of an introduction, it is incredibly helpful if the client already knows that they're embarking on a journey, that it will take time and that they have the motivation and stamina to both introduce this concept and to work on it over and over until it is implemented. That is also important. You can develop concepts, but these concepts must also be implemented, and at some point on this journey, you have to take people with you. This means that employees have to be trained, sensitized, certain things have to be practiced, and eventually it has to become part of the safety culture that is supposed to develop in a company. It really has to become part of the daily actions of the employees, and that is a remarkably long road. Unfortunately not. To quote a colleague, Vision Zero starts at the beginning and never has an end. That is true for Vision Zero, but it is the same challenge with any other management system concept that has to be introduced. It never really ends, because things change. The environment, our surroundings. Let's consider, for example, regulatory requirements. To give a concrete example, there have recently been some lowering of limit values. These are simply regulatory requirements that demand action on the part of the companies, all ultimately with the same goal: increasing the safety of the employees. Their unavoidable reaction to that naturally means that the concept which you have developed has to be validated over and over again. Is it enough to achieve my protection goals to reach the ultimate goal, protection of my employees? Do I need to adapt those goals? But changes also occur internally. Changes like work processes, machines, equipment. These changes all bring with them possible new hazards, and this must always be monitored and checked, and then incorporated back into the original concept. A certain amount of durability, i.e. having a solid basic structure, is of course incredibly important. However, there are always small, subtle, constant changes to be made. I like to think of these as stones. They are hewn, they are not yet finished, they're still rough and always need to be worked on. There is always a bit of work to be done, constant work. But it is also immensely important, especially with Vision Zero, when we talk about a safety culture. Cultivating such a culture, it takes many, many small individual steps. Having the main concept in place first, that's good, but it only works if small, fine-tuning stuff is done over and over again. Viability in an emergency is a very important question, because Vision Zero is actually aimed at prevention. The aim, the vision of occupational health and safety is to create a long-term environment in which there are no accidents and no health hazards for employees. This means that Vision Zero could theoretically start with 0 accidents and 0 illnesses. If a serious incident occurs, and unfortunately incidents and accidents do happen on the way to Vision Zero, we have to ask this question within the framework of Vision Zero. How do we deal with such incidents, accidents, damaging events? Because in the event of an incident, it is very important that the spread of damage is minimized so that no other employees are injured or come to harm. In addition, conclusions must be drawn after such an event. Lessons must be learned from the situation. Lessons like, how can we adapt our system? That is, the emergency must be seen in the context of the vision, to have no more mistakes, no more accidents. Safe behavior must also be planned, trained and practiced. Of course, Vision Zero has an economic component that cannot be ignored. Every company and institution has limited resources, some more and some less. But in the end, to incorporate and implement the best possible technically sophisticated solution, for example to protect employees, is sometimes simply not possible due to financial factors. Everyone wants to do the best thing, but if the means are not there, other solutions are needed. That is always something that we have to work through in trusting cooperation with the client. What are the protective targets and how much can it cost? What is affordable? Ultimately, if economic factors are not taken into account, even the best Vision Zero concept is of no use because the company will go under. You have to find a balance, and the best way to do that and achieve success is to vary the protective measures. So there is a range of protective measures and protective goals that increase the safety of the employees, and this range has to be discussed critically and carefully, and then decided upon because even small measures, organizational or structural measures that are not taken could reduce efficacy.